Hey everybody, welcome in to episode 43 of my YouTube journey. Tonight we're going to look at some amazing adbacks. Now, adbacks, what is an adback? Advertising back. So, what makes a card an advertising back card? Well, to me, it's a card that does not have any stats or any biographical information on the back. And so, growing up as a kid, you always looked at the back of the cards. And to this day, I preach the back of the card is the soul of the card. Now, on the adbacks, you think, well, it's soulless. There's no stats. It doesn't tell you where they were born, how tall they are, some little cartoon or funny paragraph, but it doesn't tell you any of that stuff. But it still tells a story. So tonight, we're going to look at a bunch of cards. I mean, a bunch. And so just get your listening ears on, like they say when you're in elementary school and you're watching eyes. But tonight we're going to look at those cards. We're going to look at everything from some T206s. We're going to look at some more rare tobacco cards, some I'm really proud of and I collect. And I'm going to do one day. I'm going to do a whole video on just that set. But I'm going to share some of those. Going to share some candy backs, some advertising backs of some stores. And we're not just going to look at the backs. We'll look at the front. I'll flip it over so you can see who it is we're looking at. But at first, we're going to talk about the back. We're going to talk about pop counts. We're going to talk about the different backs that were available, that back, and how many of those were made, and that sort of thing. It'll be interesting. It's going to be dive into a certain kind of cards that we all love, and sometimes you just don't think anything about the back. So tonight we're going to pay attention to them. So Baby Got Back, that was a song when I was in high school, but Baby Got Ad Back. I hope you got that on the thumbnail. So we're going to look at these cards, and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. So we're going to start off with the most well-known advertising back, even though it's not called an advertising back card. They're called tobacco cards, but the T206 is absolutely an advertising back card. The Piedmont is the first three we're going to look at, and that makes up 52% of all PSA graded T206s. So over half, barely over half, right at half of every T206 that's graded by PSA is a Piedmont back. Now, if you'll notice, these three backs are different. We got a 150 subjects, a 350 subjects, and a 350 460 subjects. So even these are a little different. So just to give you an idea, now we know this set's called the Monster or the Beast for a reason, because there's just so many different backs, and the set itself is huge. But if you take into account, these cards are not scarce. T206s are not scarce in these backs. There are 59,577 of these cards graded in a Piedmont back by just PSA. That's not counting the other grading companies. So if you look at them really closely, there's the only real difference to these different is the 150, 350. They're very similar. I told you I was going to show the front too. So the first front would be my red tie cob. Now, a lot of times people talk about the 150s are the brighter of the cards, and a lot of times they're in better registration. In this case, this one, I picked this one on a table. I had about 8 to 10, I can't remember, at a Nashville show, T206 cobs, and I wanted to pick the one that was the best registration and the best color, and I wasn't paying attention to the number on the back, but I picked this one. So, it kind of defuncts that a little bit, so we'll put that up there. The next one is the 350. So these go in years. The 150s would have been the ones that were printed in 1909. And then as the subjects get bigger, it's the later printing. So this would have been, the 150 would have been the oldest of these three, and this one would have been in the middle. So another tie cob, and 2.5. Again, just a great card, great set. And then this last one, this 150, again, the 150s are usually known for the better color and a better registration, and it was the case on this one. So it's my Walter Johnson that I picked up in Strongsville this year. It's just really sharp, and love the card. It's got everything I wanted in that card, and I wanted it to be the right card because it's so iconic. So I did a post on Instagram, and the song I put with it was Patience by Guns N' Roses. This one right here is a sweet cap back. So let's go ahead and show these together. And again, very similar. This one has the glue on it. If you saw my video the other day with Dan and Mike Petty, I showed this card, and you'll recognize the glue. But again, this is a 350. This is a 350 460. So these sweet cap backs are the second most plentiful back in the T206 set. And the PSA, not the other grading up, just PSA, has graded 31,591 of these backs. And that makes up 28% of all the PSA cards that have been graded. So between the PSA, in the PSA grading system, between the Sweet Cap and the Piedmont, they make up 75% of all T206s that have been graded. So it just goes to show you the Piedmont and Sweet Cap, when people say they're the most plentiful, that shows you how plentiful they actually are. So let's look at the front of this one. And this one is my buddy Fred Merkel from the famous Merkel Boner play. And poor guy, even when he went to the grave on his obituary there in New York, it mentioned that play. He could never get away from it, and he handled it really well. But he was a good guy. His teammates liked him and didn't blame him for that. So that was good. So that's Fred Merkel. And in this one, like I said, if you saw my episode the other day with Dan, you saw this one. So this is my green T206, and again, 350, and got great color and great registration. And again, it got a 1.5 because of that, which, like I was talking about the other day, this glue on this back tells a story. Again, it has a soul. The back tells the story of the card, even if it doesn't have stats or a bio. Somebody loved this card so much they glued it in a scrapbook to keep it safe, and that's why it's not creased and it looks really good. I can still read it, but that glue mark right there saved me $6,000. So I'll take the glue on my card. That's not a problem for me. So put that up there. All right, the next back is the polar bear. And many people, I hear it over and over again, think this is the prettiest back in the T206s. Now, this came in scrap tobacco, so a lot of times you'll have tobacco stains on these, because just like the Cracker Jacks came in the box right up against the confection, the polar bears came in the box right up against, or in the can, right up against just the loose tobacco. So a lot of times you'll have the tobacco stains. I don't see much on the back of this one. So as far as the rarity goes, there are 4,987 of these graded by PSA, and that makes up 4.4%. So I like saying that. It just kind of gives you an idea of the rarity. It tells a story again. So who is this on the front? It's Fred Snodgrass, and I really liked him in The Glory of Their Times. That's why I picked up this card. He was just a sweet gentleman, old guy, liked telling the stories back when he played, and so I wanted one of his cards. So great card. All right, the next one, we got a Sovereign back. This one's kind of crinkled up. It didn't, make it through the 100 and something years that 125 years, 115 years, I guess it would be. But this is the 150, so this would have been one of the earlier printings. And the Sovereign back has been graded 4,815, so it's very similar to the polar bear. And 4.2% of all PSA graded T206s are the Sovereign back. So it's a really pretty back. I really like the look of it. It's kind of got that Victorian feel. And this one is another guy from Glory of Their Times, Rube Marquardt. And I did a post about this on Instagram, and I love love pairing songs with my Instagram posts. I really take a lot of pride in that. And this one was the Traveling Wilbury song. So if you want to look it up on my Instagram, you'll see it. And I told the story of him and what he went through. And it really, again, this card tells a story. It's crinkled up. But in this picture, that wayward look on his face, it almost looks like he's looking through broken glass. Anyways, I just think it's a really cool card. I normally wouldn't buy a card that's this messed up, but I just thought it was cool. It just kind of had character to me. This next one is a cycle card. So cycle back. This one is one of the rarer ones. Now, the most rare is the Ty Cobb back, which many people say isn't even a T206. But cycle back, and this is the 350 subjects, so it's kind of in that middle print. And this one is graded by PSA 1,197 times, which makes up 1.06% of all T206 cards that have been graded by PSA. So 1%. So that's pretty small. And this one here is the Chief Bender with the trees in the back. So if you've noticed, I like Chief Bender. You've seen my Chief Bender episode. And I really like his story and how he grew up at a very early age on an Indian reservation, or right beside one anyways, and went to several Indian schools. But yeah, just a great back. It's a really pretty back too. Kind of got that Victorian feel. Kind of tells the time of the sign of the times there. This one's a cool card. Whoop, forgot to show the back. Old Mill, this is a series number 8. And that tells a story. And when I turn it over, you'll see what it is. And this Old Mill Series 8 are all Southern Association players. So these would have had the Nashville players, the Atlanta Crackers, Montgomery, those teams like that. So these were issued as their own set. And this is a pretty rare series right here. The series number 8. It's the red border. It's the T210, so it's not a T206. These were issued in 1910, and PSA has graded only 339 of these. This card is, I don't even know his first name, but his last name's Flood, and he played for the Nashville Vols. That's why I have this card. I'm making a Nashville Vols collection. And so they don't even say his first name on the flip. I'm going to have to look all this up. But I'm going to be doing an episode on my Nashville collection. And, you know, that's my hometown. I'm proud of being from there. But this one, just to put it in perspective, has been graded a grand total of 8 times, 7 by PSA, 1 by SGC. So, and I misstated a minute ago. I'm sorry. PSA is graded as 339, SGC 199, for a grand total of 538 in the population by SGC and PSA combined. So really pretty back. So the next one I'm going to pull up, I'm going to put right beside it. It is also an Old Mill. Now, if you'll notice, it's different. This one doesn't have series number 8 on the back. So that tells a story once again. And instead of cigarettes, it says baseball series selection from Texas, the South Atlantic League, which is the Sally League, Virginia, and the Southern Leagues. So this card will again have mainly just minor league players. And so it's different, tells a story. So what's the story of this one right here? Well, I'll turn it over and show you. It is actually a T206 again, but it's that Old Mill back. And so it's a little out of order. I know I showed you the T206, but you'll see why in just a second. So this is an Old Mill. Again, one of my Nashville players, and his name's Bernard. And so my next card kind of plays into this card. And it is one of my Red Sun backs. And I really love these. These are the T211. And I jumped ahead of myself. Let me finish this one real quick. So this one right here, again, is an Old Mill, and it is 5% of all PSA. And I know this is SGC, but I just kept it simple. This is 5% of all PSA graded T206s. There's 5,688 of these graded, And this one right here has a pop count of 284 cards in PSA and SGC. So 280. So it's not rare at all, but it's, you know, there's not 1,000 of them out there like a lot of different players. So I'm going to sit this one here, and we'll look at it again in just a second. This is the Red Sun cigarettes, and they're made in New Orleans, and it says baseball players, and their Southern Association, and it says first series 1 to 75. And then it says factory number 8, District of Louisiana. So just an absolutely gorgeous back. I didn't know these existed until, I don't know, 8 months ago. And I saw them on a Brockelman auction. May not have been that long ago. And I just fell in love with them. And there's 17, I believe it's 17 Nashville players in this Red Sun. Now this Red Sun set is pretty rare. These were made in 1910. They're called T211s, and they're also called the Green Border set, and you'll see why in a minute. There have been only, like, check this out. We just talked about Piedmont, right up there, 59,577 of those graded just in PSA. This Red Sun border, or this Red Sun back Green Border set, has been graded a total of 271 times. That's it. 271 total, not per player, per back. So, and that's between SGC and PSA. So that tells the story too. Pretty rare. And there's your Green Border. And it says, you know, up here on the flip, 1910 Red Sun cigarettes, T211 Bernard. And if you'll notice, it's the same player. Now they cropped the T206 a little bit, but it's absolutely the same guy, same picture. So pretty cool. They colorized this one a little more. This is more black and white. But I just love the Red Sun cards. I got another one here. I just wanted to show it again. This one doesn't have a crease. I wanted to show this one because it was the same player as on the T206. But these share, some of these cards share the same images on the T206. The T206s don't have a lot of the Nashville cards. I think there might be 4 to 6. I'm not sure. Whereas, like I said, I think there's 17. So this one is actually an SGC 5. This is, I think, the highest graded card available, and it's Lynch. And again, played for Nashville. You see the N. The Nashville Sounds now wear this old English N on their hats and stuff. And it's pretty cool as an ode to that team. And now we're going into the candy subject. So this one right here is an E90-1 American Caramel. It was issued from 1909 to 1911. And as you'll notice, it says 100 subjects up here. That's not actually what it was. It ended up being 108. So these are not rare. PSA and SGC combined has graded 7,844 of these cards. But what story does this back tell you? Well, number one, it's cool. It's got the little mitt, the ball, cross bats, and a baseball. Manufactured by the American Caramel Company, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But it says up here 100 subjects, baseball series. But what do you see other than that? It's the patina. This one is dirty, number one, but also these came in boxes of caramel. So sometimes you'll see a little staining on them just from the candy, and I just think that's cool. I don't think there's any surviving boxes from any of these cards over the years, just like I don't think there's any surviving Cracker Jack boxes. So, and understandably why. But this one is Ty Cobb, and again, these cards look so beautiful, and they look prettier in hand than they do on camera. But this background is just blazing sunset. It gives it a 3D kind of feel. But these have the Mike Petty honest corners on them, and Ty Cobb right field Detroit American. So great card. I feel blessed to own that one. All right, next one, getting into another set. Now this one right here is Sporting Life, and this is the M designation, and so it's an M116. And these right here, Sporting Life was very similar to the Sporting News. I remember that as a kid. Now they're really not around anymore. But back in the day, we had Sporting News. It came and they were like papers, and I got it every week, and I couldn't wait to look through that thing. And I loved to check the box scores, and then it'd have a synopsis of each team and what they were doing. And then, of course, you had the magazines like Sports Illustrated, but Sporting Life was more like the Sporting News. But these did not, some people think they came inside the actual paper. They did not. You had to mail off for these. You had to mail in a coupon, and then they would send you a series of 12 cards. Now, the 5 cents was actually what the copy cost. But for a series of 12, you would mail in a coupon you got out of the Sporting Life magazine, and you would mail 4 cents, and then they would mail you a series of 12 cards. So that's how people got these. It says, when you think of baseball, think of Sporting Life. For 27 years, the recognized authority on all baseball matters. Today, it is larger, brighter, and better than ever, published every Saturday at all news dealers. So you would have picked this up at newsstands. So great card. Again, tells a story. Had to come through the United States Postal Service. So that in itself is pretty cool. It was like eBay before eBay. But this one is my Honus Wagner. And beautiful card. These came in blue backgrounds and pastel, and this is one of the nicer 4s you'll see. It's nice and centered. It's got nice corners. But yeah, great card. I love owning this one, and these have been going up. Unreal how much those have gone up. How much that one's gone up since I just bought it a year ago or whatever. I don't even know if it was a year ago. All right, the next one, getting into another kind of advertising back. This one is the Globe stores. Now, real quick, I failed to mention this. I've been talking about it. These Sporting Life are not that rare, but they're not as prevalent. They're about the same as the American Caramel, but grand total between PSA and SGC, these have been graded 8,712 times. So wanted to point that out. I've been trying to be consistent. So this one right here is the Globe store. And it says, play safe, boys. In or out of season, always the best. Globe, double header suits, right, posture suits, the Globe, and it has the actual address. And I should have looked up where this store was before I did this episode, and I didn't. And I'm not going to stop it, so y'all can look it up if you want to. But this is part of the M101 set, and there's M101s, M101 5s, and M101 4s. The 5s were actually the first printed, but these were made by a guy named Felix Mendelssohn out of Chicago. We don't really know who took his pictures. In some cases, we think he might have took them, but they're great black and white pictures. But these cards were given out at these stores. Now, what we don't know, there was 200 cards in this set. In each set, even in all the different backs, there's 200. Now, some of the backs are so scarce that you would never be able to build a set. But backs show up from time to time, new discoveries, new cards, found in attics, whatever. But, they're still rare. This one, there are actually 18 different advertising backs in this M101 4 and 5s. 18 different. So the Globe is actually the number 4 common. So this is the 4th most common, I guess is the best way to say it. There are 354 of these graded. And remember, there's 200 of these in each set. So just to build a set, you would have 154 left over. So it's a great set to have. There's a lot of stars. This is the set that Babe Ruth's rookie card is in. You got Ty Cobb, you got Shoeless Joe Jackson, you got Honus Wagner, you got Mathewson. You got a lot of those guys in this set. So it's a great set. Here is the card. It is, as you can tell, it's stained. But this was one of my early Cobb pickups. But this one right here, this actual card is only a pop of 5 universal between PSA and SGC. So that tells you how rare that is. There's just 5 of these with that back. Now, as far as how do you tell if it's an M101 or an M105, sometimes you can't tell. But the way you can, and I'll show you on the next card, sometimes the numbering sequence is different between the two runs, whether it's a 5 or a 4. This one right here, I believe, is a 4. So, and then sometimes they're the same, and I don't know how you tell. But anyways, that's the Ty Cobb Globe Store. The next one is the Famous and Barr back, and this one is one of the more common. This one is the second most common, actually. The first most common is the Sporting News back, which is also called a blank back. It'll have Sporting News on here, and there'll be some that are blank. But this one is the Boys Clothes Store of St. Louis, Famous and Barr, Olive, Locust, 6th and 7th Street, St. Louis foremost boys clothes store. So, again, it was a clothing store, obviously, in St. Louis. And these would have been handed out to customers. And we don't know whether they were handed out entire sets or if they were given one card at a time as they purchased an item, they would be handed a card. We don't know. But what we do know is where they were printed. Again, Felix Mendelssohn. Why are they called the Sporting News set? Well, some have Sporting News on the back. But why would this one even be called Sporting News set sometimes? It's because Felix Mendelssohn used the Sporting News magazine as a way of marketing this and selling it. So kind of like Sports Card Digest when I was a kid, there'd be all those advertisements in the back. There were people selling cards and stuff. So that's how Felix Mendelssohn, how he marketed this. He would have an article in that magazine, and there's still some you can find, and it would say that he basically would make you 200 sets for X amount, and he would put your business names on the back. So he was a printer, and that's what he did, and he made these cards. So really cool. So who's on the front of this one? None other than the guy that just got exonerated and cleared, not really exonerated, but cleared by the major leagues to possibly get in the Hall of Fame, Mr. Joe Jackson. Now, this is one that I know it's an M116, I believe. I should have wrote that down, but I didn't. I think the other run is a number 85. This one's a number 86. I can't quite remember. But this card right here is a Pop 10. So, again, I mean, you can call it rare with this back. If there's only 10 in the world been graded between PSA and SGC, I'd go rare on that one. But I love having this card. Same image as the Cracker Jack. All right, next one. Another clothing store. Only difference is this is a year later. This is the 1917 Boston store. There were 4 different backs. There was the Boston store, Collins McCarthy, the Wheel or Wild Baking, I'm not really sure how you say it, and the standard biscuit back. This one and the Collins McCarthy are the most prevalent. But again, this is a Boston store. Now, where was it located? Well, you're saying Boston. Nope, you'd be wrong. It's actually headquartered out of Chicago. And again, clothing store, boys clothing store. And so, boys clothing stores knew what they were doing in putting their marketing on the back of a baseball card. Again, that tells a story. But yeah, they sold all kinds of clothing, gloves, handkerchiefs, caps, shoes, and also sporting goods of every sort. Will find varieties best here and prices are the lowest. So great card. I love these backs. I think they're cool. I was able to pick this one up, and I'm very proud of this card. And I got this one off eBay. It was one of the first big cards that I picked up. And these were graded. Famous and Barr back, the Famous and Barr backs, I didn't say that, were 1,484 total. This one right here, where did I write that down at? There's 1,607 total graded backs in the Boston store set. So the players will vary, but this one right here again is another Shoeless Joe. Now, there on those 4 sets, again, there's 200 cards. They're all the same, the same front. So whoever printed these, I don't think we know who printed these. Like the 1916s, we know that Felix Mendelssohn did that. I don't know that Felix Mendelssohn didn't do this one. If somebody wanted to take apart a really cheap one of these and then look at a cheaper that they could destroy and cut it and see if the paper is the same and maybe the ink's the same. I'm sure somebody could figure that out. Maybe they could narrow it down that maybe it is Felix Mendelssohn. I don't think we know though. But I doubt very seriously the Boston store had a printer and they printed these. And then the Wheel Baking Place had the same printer. And then, you know, Collins McCarthy. So you see where I'm going. Somebody printed these. We just don't really know who it was. So again, that tells a story. Somebody kept this near and dear. It's a great card, and enjoy collecting Shoeless Joe. And again, here's another one. I just want to show a second one. And same back, same year. This one is Urban Faber, also known as Red Faber. He was the guy that was out with that really bad virus in the 1919 World Series that allowed the scandal to go down. Because if he'd have been pitching, he would have been in that rotation and he would have been a clean Sox and they couldn't have done it. So anyways, I love these cards. I'm trying to collect all of the 1917 Boston store Chicago White Sox. They won the World Series that year, and it was Joe Jackson's, really his last time in the sun. But yeah, pretty cool with the black uniforms. So, all right. And the next one, getting back into some more candy cards. And this one right here is 1921 E121 American Caramel. And you'll notice 80 pictures of 80 of the leading baseball stars. So this is also called the series of 80. And so it says this set consists of pictures of 80 of the leading baseball stars of the American and National Leagues, made only by the American Caramel Company, Lancaster and York and Pennsylvania. So anyways, great card. Again, this would have come in a box of caramels and in 1921. And so who's on the front of this one? And again, the glue. So this tells the story. It was in a scrapbook. That's why it's in such great shape. So somebody took really good care of this. And this is none other than the Babe, in quotes, Babe Ruth. Now, there's 3 different Babe Ruth cards. There's the Babe in quotes, the Babe not in quotes, and then one that says George. So great card. I don't know if that's caramel staining right here, just some dirt. Don't know. But a great card of Babe in his Boston Red Sox uniform still being shown, I think, as a pitcher. So anyways, love having this card. I love collecting Babe. I wish I had more of his stuff, but I don't. All right, next one. Very similar. Let me pick this one back up. Oh, by the way, this one has been graded 4,419 times in that set. So just kind of tell you how prevalent they are. So this next one, again, looks very similar. What's the difference, you ask? Well, this set contains a picture of 120 of the leading baseball stars. So this one, we know, is a 1922 instead of a 21. It's a 22 E121. I don't know why Jefferson Burdick gave it the E121 if it was a different year, but he did. And this one's been graded 4,538 times. And again, the back tells a story because we can tell what year it is just from the back. And this one is none other than Tyrus Raymond Cobb. So great card. He's got that glare and very similar. You know, it's got the same kind of black and white non-color image. And if you'll notice, that image right there is the same as the Cracker Jack image. So great card, great player. And then this is the last one. This one was issued in 1947. It's a tip-top bread. This one has seen its better days. And you can see the loaf of bread right there. The one I wish I had one of the Jackie Robinson set of 13 cards. It also has the Bond bread advertisement on the back. But it says, walk today to your food store and buy Tip Top. Look for the stars on the Tip Top wrapper and the stars on the diamond. And anyways, Tip Top is better bread and tells all about the bread. Compliments of Tip Top bakers. So it's just a bread advertisement. So really cool. This came in a loaf of bread, and some kid could not wait for his mama to get home from that grocery store so he could get in that bread. And you can imagine getting this out. He probably smushed the bread or put a dent in it, put a hole in the bread. And his mama was saying, don't put a hole in the bread. Your dad's going to be mad when I make a sandwich for work tomorrow. So you can hear it. So this tells a story. Somebody kept it safe all these years. Again, 1947. These were released regionally by teams. So in New York, you would have had the Giants, the Yankees, the Dodgers. And then, you would have had another release in Boston. So anyways, great card. 2006 of these total have been graded in this set between SGC and PSA. And who is this, you may ask? This is Larry Barr, the famous outfielder of the New York AL team. So that's just a young Yogi. This is the same picture that's on his 51 Bowman, if you'll notice that. And I don't think this is on his Bond bread. Maybe it is, but I know it's on his Bowman card. So, of course, this got a 1, but it tells a story. It's been well loved. So thanks for checking this out. I hope you've enjoyed looking at these backs and hearing the pop counts and stuff like that, and I'll be right back. All right, hope I didn't put you to sleep with that. Not a lot of times people talk about the backs of cards, but again, the front of the card is the face of the card. It's what you see when you first look at it, and you want eye appeal. Nobody ever talks about the eye appeal of the back of the card, but the back of the card is important too. And so, like I said, the back of the card is the soul of the card, even when it's an advertising back. Because even then, that back tells a story. It tells us where it came from and how rare it is and that sort of thing. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.